Hello, how are you?
Hello, good morning.
How's everything?
Very good.
Perfect.
Good
And
morning,
you?
good morning.
Hello.
Hello.
Excellent. Alrighty. Just give a couple of minutes and I'm opening the files. So how's everything? How are you? Good?
Yes, working.
Working. That's very good. Rosario, how's your wife, your daughter? Is she okay?
Yeah, she's better, thank you.
Cool. But it's not COVID, right?
No. It's like a stomach flu or something
Okay.
weird. But not. She doesn't have any symptoms of COVID. Yeah, it was the first thing I checked.
Right, of course. The thing is that I was worried because I sent her a message last night and she didn't reply. So like, oh my god.
No, she yeah. Last night she was pretty bad,
Mm,
but today she's feeling better.
perfect. All right. Excellent.
Thank you.
No. Thank you. Let me open the. So, how was your week? Tell me, Erika, how was your week? We can listen to you, Erika. I think Erika is gone. Huh. Hey, Marta, how are you?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm good. I'm fine. I had a lot of work this week, so maybe I can see my how do you say cansancio? I don't remember.
Tiredness.
Yes,
But that's good, no? That you have what you do, like teaching or you're in consulting and
in a private consult, I don't have teacher no English
right,
class.
right. I remember. So a lot of depressed people. Sorry, probably shouldn't say that.
I kind of maybe more mm, breakups in a relationship.
No, that's about
A
the
lot
same
of, a
thing, but
lot of.
yeah.
Yes, many couples, many couples, and I try to fix this situation. Focus on solution.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, because of the confining. Uh,
And the infidelity.
okay, but yeah, that's. I'm sorry for the couples.
Yes.
So, anyways, new faces.
No está bien, ¿no? Mira. Hello.
Hello, Eric.
A ver.
Was it Erika?
Yes, it's me. I am. Can you hear me now? Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, Mama, bye. Bye.
So Marta, you do therapies and you just not go, like divorcing and like, okay, ya la fregada, órale. Stop.
Wait, but infidelities, we're supposed to be confined, right? You're not supposed to be going
Oh
No,
around with
yeah,
other
that's right.
people.
many have two families.
Oh my,
Yes.
and now is the time
No,
to know exactly because he has or she has to go to the other family. Okay,
It's
now I get it.
no.
problem now. So
Sheesh.
it's very confused.
I
Oh
don't
my.
know. I don't know how people can, I barely can with one
Ha!
family. So
Yes.
imagine having two. Oh my God. That's a lot of work, right? A lot of money, a lot of time consuming things, a lot
Liars
of
and everything, yes.
lies. I know.
See?
Okay.
It's It's weird. It's weird. But anyways, so Gabi, Rocio, if you could turn your cameras on, I appreciate it highly. I highly appreciate it. So, well, welcome. Some new faces. We have Rocio. Hello, Rocio. She's from Chihuahua, I believe, but she lives in Mexico City. Many years of experience too. We have Giovanni. Wave Giovanni, so if we can, if we can know you, and we have Flor. You can wave, and so welcome to the class. And this is, you know me. I'm teacher Gerson. You can tell me friend, teacher, Lord. Oh my God, and all the Lord Gerson. I have students from like 20 years ago, and they still Lord Gerson. You know, playing. Anyways, let me share my screen. Not if you see it, lady. Deja ahí. Cool. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So we're going to talk about a little bit of communication. Last week we I gave you some homework. I didn't send the questions, but I believe you actually read the PDF, right? At least not. If you read it, raise your hand who wants that read it.
Me to the page, no, hasta la página se me olvidó, 20. The half of the book I read.
Okay, thank you. At least you were honest. Sheesh, and the rest, thank you very much, eh. Chale. ¿Cómo se dice, Marta, el currículo oculto? ¿Cómo es el asunto? ¿Tú eres la psicóloga?
I don't know, maybe my focus it's very I don't know.
Hidden curriculum, no? That when you don't, you demand
I don't
something, but you don't offer it.
that word.
Okay, well, anyways. We're going to talk about communication. Now, for the ones that are new, like, for example, Flor and Giovanni, Rocio, when I call on your participation, because we don't wait until you raise your hand, and if you need to offer a comment, if you have a question, please do so. Interrupt me and open your microphone and ask the question. If I know the answer, answer. If I don't, I still answer it because I'm the teacher and I'll make it up something. And but I also call on participation. Okay, so when I call and I say, for example, Giovanni, then you say you participate, and then you tell us your experience in teaching, just the first time, or if you don't have teaching experience, tell us where you're from and so forth, so we can know you. Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about something about the communication. Okay. What is communication? Let's do some brainstorming first. It has to do with chisme. No, no es cierto. Tell me, Nancy, well, for you, what is communication?
Like talk with someone.
Like what? Can you repeat? Because
Talk with someone.
Talk to
Speak with
someone. Okay, talk to someone. Okay, Chema, for you, what's communication?
Communicating with one another.
Well, okay, yeah. Can you elaborate on that one?
Like transmitting a message, like not necessarily speaking, but like trying to share an idea, I guess.
All right. Okay, so you have your wife or your pareja or your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever it is. Me amas, pues te mantengo, ¿no? That would be communication. Well, probably, right? But not a good communication. For you, Patty, what's communication?
Communication is the way of exchanging information, sending and receiving at the same time information.
Okay, all right, very good. So we're getting the point, right? Um, can you read this definition from the book, Grace?
Communication is defined as the sum of total of information about feelings, attitudes, and wishes, transmitted directly and indirectly, consciously and unconsciously. The term communication covers just about any interaction with another person. It includes sharing information, ideas, and feelings between people.
Thank you, Grace. Notice the ones in italics. Feelings, attitudes, and wishes. Do you agree with that? Do you think communication involves feelings, attitudes, and wishes? Yes, obviously, right? So you need to transmit all of that into your receiver. Now, dear teachers, does this apply into a classroom? Yes. For the new ones and for the ones in the class for the first time, we have a term for the bad teachers, and that term is, ¿cuál es, Rosario?
Kool-Aid teachers.
The Kool-Aid teachers, right? Don't be the Kool-Aid teachers, right? The Kool-Aid teachers, they just walk into the classroom, open book, page 57, do exercises 10 to 11. Teacher, pero es que, shut up, listen to me because I'm speaking, respect your blah, 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 blah. No attitudes, no feelings, no wishes involved. The tendency of for teaching is to have all of those attitudes involved. ¿Ok? Bienvenido Lenovo Tab 2. Si puedes decirnos tu nombre y poner tu cámara, te lo agradeceremos. Remember that in my classes, in my institution, in the Federal, cameras on are mandatory. Okay, so communication is a two-way process, yes or no? When you communicate, you perceive, other people respond and react when your own thoughts and feelings. It's only by ¿qué? What do we need to do in order to have a conversation or a communication effectively done? We need to what?
Pay attention.
We need to pay attention. Do we teachers do that? Do we pay attention? Yes. How do we pay attention? Because we're in Zoom right now in online classes. How do we pay attention to students? Have you thought about it? Okay, let me paraphrase it. Nancy, how do you pay attention to your boyfriend?
How do I pay attention? Listen.
Okay, ay, qué gacha, eh? Híjole. Anyone else wants to elaborate? How do you pay attention to someone else?
Yes, I think making eye contact with our students or the person who are we talking.
Very good. Eye contact, listening. Gaby, please. Gaby? Se salió, creo.
Excuse me.
Yes, no worries.
When I listen a student, I see him and hear him with attention, very attention, because for me it's very important when something hear me.
Right. What happens if we don't pay attention? Like, Miss, que iba en el 2, a ver, ¿quién quiere responder? And then how do students feels?
Not listened, and he will act out.
Exactly.
He or she will demand your attention either way, one way or the other.
And if you don't pay attention, the student will feel ignored. Let me repeat again, ignore. And when a person feels ignored, what happens, Flor? We don't listen to you, Flor.
He gets depression.
He gets depressed very good. And ya no me ama la maestra, ya no me quiere. I'm not his friend. And beyond that, somebody will feel angry, somebody will feel depressed. Bottom line, it won't work the communication. Agree? Okay, good. So, feelings, attitudes, and wishes, and pay attention to the other. What happens when good communication is missing, Andrea?
Well, they won't understand. The students will not learn anything.
Exactly. What would happen? What happens if you just focus on pushing your students to finish the activity? It doesn't matter if they actually liked it or not. Rocio, please.
They lose the message. They don't understand.
And consequently, they're not going to learn English. So that's why many people, majority, they go through secundaria, prepa, university, and they still are in verb to be, maybe present continuous. Okay? Just because a teacher did not pay attention to them. Okay, so far so good? All right. So the student will feel angry or worry, will be irritation. The learning process is broken. Bottom line, it's important to communicate. Not if you agree. Cool. All right. So what is the communicative approach? This is going to be very, you need to memorize this through the course and through the TKT exam. The CLT, the communicative language teaching. This is a new tendency well, not really new. It's not really new, but it's newish in the changing of the programs. So this is an approach. You can Google it, CLT, communicative language teaching. You will have like 2.5 billion different pages. Select 5, read it, and then you can have a bigger picture. Is the approach to the second, to teaching a second and foreign languages. Repeat, second and foreign languages. In our country, we normally teach foreign or second. In other words, ESL or EFL, English as a second language or English as a foreign language. In Mexico, we normally, except for Rosario, she's the first in the classroom, but I'll tell you later about that. But normally an English teacher would teach EFL, right? Why? What is the difference between second and foreign language? Any comments, Rosario?
If you live in the country, for instance, if you live in the United States and your native language is Spanish, then
sorry, go ahead.
If you live in the United States and your native language is Spanish, then you have to learn as a second language. I just mix it up.
You have the idea.
Okay, something like that.
If you live in a native speaking English country, then you will be teaching English as a second language, because the student lives in an environment where everything surrounding him or her is English. You agree? Well, except if you live in Los Angeles or in El Paso, that's a whole different story. But let's say you live in Wisconsin everything around in him is English. So the methodology is different. The material is different. The books are different. In Mexico, we teach foreign language because Mexico is a Spanish country, it's a Spanish speaking country. Okay, so our students live in an environment that everything surrounding him is Spanish. Do you agree? And unless you have a prodigy student, ya sabes, uno de esos de, Miss, ¿me das extra homework? Unless you have one of those students do not practice after classes. They don't want to know anything about English. Believe me. You will have one or two that, ya sabes, ¿no? El chavito, Miss, ¿me das más extra homework? Well, that's a whole different story. But normally, a Mexican student will not do that. Okay, so we in Mexico, we teach foreign English. So this emphasizes the interaction as both the means and the ultimate goal of learning a language. It is referred to the communicative approach to the teaching of foreign languages, or simply the communicative approach. Can you continue reading, Giovanni?
Communicative language teaching make use the real-life situations where communicating is required. The teacher set up a situation that students are likely to encounter in real life, unlikely the traditionalist method of language teaching, which relies on repetition and drills. The communicative approach can leave students in suspense and to the outcome of a class exercise, which will vary according to their reactions and responses.
Very good. Paréntesis, tell us, Giovanni, about yourself. Remember, no te vas a escapar, ni te hagas. Tell us where you're from.
I'm from
how are you?
Texcoco, Estado de México. I'm unemployed, but I want to teach about this. I want to make this TKT for my best. I don't know.
Perfect. Excellent. Very good. From Texcoco, excellent. Well, welcome. Okay. All right. So it says about the real life situations where, unlike the traditionalist or the Kool-Aid teacher or method for language teaching, will rely on repetitions and drills. In other words, ya sabes, el clásico. Walk into the classroom, the teacher writes on the board 10 sentences, verb to be. This is verb to be. I am a, she is a, blah, blah, blah. Copy this in your notebook, make 10 sentences. That is a very, very traditionalist way of teaching. Instead of that, your aim or your goal is to have real life situations that students practice in real life situations. Why? Why is it important that students practice real life situations?
Because they can use in the real life.
Very good. Grace?
I've seen at work that so many people that speaks English, when they actually have to talk to a client or co-worker or someone from the States, they just stop. They don't know what to say because they don't know how to actually speak English.
Thank you for commenting that. Ya sabes, el clásico, they learn, good morning, how are you? And the answer is, fine, thank you. And you? And then when they speak into a native speaker, hey, how you doing? They just go blank because they don't know how to answer. So real life situations makes English real for them. Okay? So can you read this, Rosario?
Sure. Which one? The third one. The real life simulations change from day to day. Students' motivation to learn comes from their desire to communicate in meaningful ways about meaningful topics.
Very good. Check the word motivation. When a person, not just a student, when a person is motivated to do something, what would happen, Ivan?
He or she will learn because they are more motivated.
Exactly. Ya sabes, ¿no? Con tus cuates, que no te atreves. You probably wouldn't do it, you know, if you were alone. Pero ya cuando te dicen, se te arruga lo arrugable, dices, bueno, you are motivated. Correct?
Yes.
Same happens to our students. If a student is motivated to talk, then that person will actually make an effort. Let me repeat it. Make an effort to learn. Okay, so meaningful ways, meaningful topics. Rosario, in your experience, you're teaching second graders, right? Or third graders?
Right, second graders.
What is a meaningful topic for them?
Right now, could be the roadblocks.
Okay.
No, right now it's been around family and pets and, you know, my toys, my room, what is in my room, what is in the rooms of the house, the kitchen, food, everything. Right now, that's it.
Very good. So Rosario teaches second graders. That's meaningful. Those are meaningful topics for them. Kareli, how do you determine meaningful topics for your students?
With my students, learn present simple and vocabulary too, house, parts of the house, past perfect, present perfect, the times, and yeah, more vocabulary, clothes or food. Yes.
Okay, so, but how do you determine, how do you choose those topics about your students? Let's say, Alondra, you have teenagers. How do you determine what a meaningful topic is?
Basic.
Yeah, but how do you choose them? How do you determine? Rocio.
I think it's according to their age and the level of the students.
Okay. So by knowing them.
Yes, another thing could be about their interests. I mean, ask them what they like, what would you talk about? I don't know if they are teenagers. Most of the time, they are interested in football, sports, something like that, video games.
Thank you, Patty. Knowing them, you need to know your students. One way to do it maybe is an ice breaking at the first classes of your work. See, what are your interests? Tell me 5 activities you like, 5 sports, 5 types of food. I don't know. So you write them down. You remember it says, Juanito Perez likes soccer. So maybe your activities will be around soccer, and then it becomes meaningful. Let me put it in a cognate. It would be significant for Juanito Perez because it's something that he likes. See my point? Because we can, they're teenagers, they're basic. Yeah, but what are the likes and dislikes? Acuérdense, real life situations. And only real life situations come into play when it's meaningful or is from their interests. So far, so good? Okay, cool. What does it mean? Number one, can you read this? Vamos a ver, Team Marín de Doping, güey. Gaby.
Thanks. The primary aim of foreign language learning is communication with user of the foreign language.
Okay, so that's your primary aim, communication. Let me ask you something, teachers. Let me ask something. This has to do with the point. Which one is better, British or English or American English?
None.
None.
They're different.
They're just different.
Yes, different.
Sorry?
They are different.
Very good. Both equally correct. Both
It's like Spanish from Spain and Spanish from Mexico.
Exactly. Exactly. So your aim is a student to communicate. If a person is able to communicate in English, then you have succeeded as an English teacher. Okay. It's different. For example, I am, and I'm not just bragging, I'm just giving an example. I am a British Cambridge speaking examiner. That's a whole different story. My pronunciation should be top of the class. My grammar should be top of the class. I have to, every year, actually in this coming week, I have to do an exam, a 5-hour exam on evaluating students. That's a whole different story. If you're teaching that, if you're training other teachers, it's different. But if you're teaching students, especially if you're teaching children or teenagers, your aim is just make them communicate. That is your aim. Otherwise, let me tell you in a very colloquial word, they're going to hate you. Yes, Patty.
I would like to add something. What can I do when I have a student that all the time is afraid of speaking? I mean, they want to learn English, but he wants to speak. He sees the classes very. He sees like he's in a non accurate level because he knows the grammar. He can listen pretty well, but he's afraid of speaking. He doesn't want to speak.
So let me paraphrase the question if I understood it. You ask, what can you do with a person that wants to talk but he's too afraid? Okay, all right. Let's open the question to everybody. Any questions? Any suggestions? Comments?
What's the age? How old is he or she?
Good question, Rosario.
He's adult. He's an adult. He's around 30, 35, something like that.
Okay, so you tell them no seas payaso. No, just kidding.
What are you doing here?
I was about to tell him that, but I don't want to be that Kool teacher.
No. You never say that. No. I'm just messing with you. If it's a 30-year-old and he's too shy.
Is this a class?
First of all,
a group class? How many are in the class?
Just we are 4. We are not a lot.
Okay.
Me and three more of
I would
students.
start by asking him in a one-to-one session why, and maybe try to reason with him and for you to understand why, and then maybe you can help him better, knowing the reason. I think.
Can you try giving him the material that you're going to use ahead so he can read it before?
Yes, of course. I have tried many methods with him, but he still feels like he is no correspond to that level. But I think he's really, really good at learning, and when he speaks, he does really well. I mean, I don't know why he is still feeling that way.
Okay.
He also told me that he wants to quit because he feels that it's a high level for him, but I don't know. He need it, but he wants to try, or I don't know. I am afraid of he maybe want to quit the class.
For example, well, in my opinion, there is an app that is called Cake. And well, you can suggest that to him. In that app, he's just going to listen to some videos, and he's going to have some conversations, and he can speak there. And maybe that could help him. That is Cake app.
Cake app.
Cake,
Thank
like
you so much.
like
Cake
what
app.
you eat? Cake?
Like yes.
Cake, yes, cake.
Also, you can
Okay.
talk with the
Sharing,
other
Alondra.
students.
Thank you for
Thank you so
sharing.
much.
Actually, Alondra has, even though she's really young, she has really quite, is big experience in teaching. Thank you for sharing, Alondra.
Well, I'm not that young. I'm 28 years old.
¡Ay, cállate! Fuera de mi clase en este momento. Anyways, yes, maybe this is me talking, eh? This is me talking. Ya sabes que estoy casado con una life coach. So this is me talking, okay? Maybe if, as much as you can, try to find out what's his background. You know, like where was he raised? How was his family? Sometimes, most of the time, it has to do with your inner self. You know. Bottom line, he's shy because he's too insecure. Find out why is he insecure. Give him lots of encouragement. You're the best. You're the best of the best, and you're better than that. You believe in you. Okay, that will be my suggestion. And
Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so your primary aim is to communicate. Second, number two is let me see, Chema.
Students study the foreign language as a system of communication.
Very important, Chema. What comes into your mind when the word system, with the word system?
Like, how can I say it? As a mean of communicating with someone else, like.
Forget about communication. What comes into your mind when you hear system?
How can I say it? Like a lot of parts of something. A lot of parts of something.
Okay, very good. A lot of components, a lot of parts.
Components.
Very good. Anaí, what comes into your mind when you hear the word system?
To do something like in different parts, or to do something to be organized.
Very good, like a process?
Like a process.
Very good. So check it out. Components, processes. What else? Lisette, hello. So what comes into your mind when you hear the word system?
As tools.
Tools. Very good. Tools. So tools, components, and so forth. Excellent. All of that, my dear teachers, my dear future teachers, is communication. Forget about the Kool-Aid teachers with only focus on grammar, with only focus on translating, on reading. The system of communication has to do with morphemes, phonemes, vocabulary, grammar, apply grammar, blah, 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 which we're going to see that and, you know, through in the course. Yes, Gabby.
Excuse me. This is important because, well, I think it's important because they will be the request and it only speaking English. This is the objective.
Okay, I don't follow the question. Can you tell me the question again?
We like teachers need to make the student to speak English to request a need.
Yes, that's your goal. Make all your students to speak English.
Oh, that's why.
Yes, but English in the whole area. For example, have you ever tried? Who of you have tried to teach engineers?
Me.
Yes, who said me?
Ivan.
Ivan, tell me, what is your experience when teaching with engineers?
My experience.
Okay, give me 1 minute.
Eh?
Give me 30 seconds. I'm going to say goodbye to my young oldest daughter that came to visit to me. Hold on a second. Don't leave. Hold on. Sorry about that. Les platico mi situación. Mi hija mayor de 13 años vive con su mamá. Y su mamá, bueno, Marta sabe de lo que estoy hablando. Cuando estamos divorciados está raro. Entonces, vino y pues que hay que despedirla. Sorry, Ivan. Go ahead.
Okay. My experience was a little hard because they wanted to learn about difficult, different vocabulary, but they didn't know about the basic grammar. So for them, it was very hard to learn English because
exactly
they knew about vocabulary like voltage, amperage, electric circuit, but they didn't know how to make a sentence about those vocabulary or those words. So for them it was very hard.
Very good. Now let me ask you something, Ivan. Why do you think, even though they're engineers, like after 12 years of studying, why was difficult for them to compose a sentence? Because they only focus on what?
On technical works about their careers.
Exactly. They only focus on one element, on one component of the system of communication. They're really square. I mean, they're cool, you know, don't get me wrong. My respects to engineers, but it's difficult to teach engineers. You write, you tell, okay, I am, you're teaching present continuous. I am swimming. ¿Y qué es lo primero que te preguntan? Maestro, ¿cuál es la fórmula? ¿Cuál es la estructura? Dude, there's no structure. Why, there is, but there are a lot of sections.
Yes, they want to know everything and they want to have a base.
Exactly. Yes, Evan, sorry.
Teacher, actually, I remember that they asked me about a formula about how to write a present perfect sentence. So I had to make a formula. They they want they always want a formula to make the things.
Yes. Yes, and because they only focus on one thing. Okay, so bottom line, system of communication, it's everything. Do you agree? If you agree, not. Cool. All right. Number 3. Let me see. Cindy?
Yes, students learn and practice the foreign language through communicative activities. Margie S. Burnham,
Hold on,
an
hold on.
expert in the field of communication.
Pause there. It says students learn and practice through communicative activities. Another books or another yes, another books it says conversation activities, conversational tasks, etc. Bottom line is through communication, through activities that involve communication. Okay, so why we identify those
Okay,
activities? Yes.
okay,
Continue,
yes.
Cindy.
It's in the personal activity and has a clear relationship with society. In this like language study has to look at the use functions of language in context. What is its language context? What is in respect before and after a given piece of function? And its social or situation context, who is speaking, what their social rules are, why they have come together to speak.
Very good.
Burns.
That's
Okay.
okay. That's okay. Very good. So check the year 1984. That all is the CLT. However, it had, and in some parts of Mexico, it still has lots of resistance to the change, but that's a whole different story. We'll discuss it later. So it says that in order to have a successful conversation task, you need to involve the interaction, the personal activity, and the clear relationship with society. In other words, if you say the word sex to a 17-year-old girl, she thinks what? You know, wedding songs and church bells, rainbows, hearts. Ya te vi tu cara, Alondra, estás risa y risa, yes or no? But if you say the word sex to a 17-year-old boy, believe me, he thinks a whole different story. See the difference? So you need to take into consideration their role in society, their age, their interests, their background, so they can come up with a successful conversation activity. So far, so good? Let me tell you experience. A couple years ago, um, well, no, ya como 10 años ago, I worked for the government in the state of Guanajuato, supervising classes. And I was sent to Hishu. Some of you know this experience. Hishu. If you look at the map, Hishu is like way off God's limits. It's like 5 hours away from civilization. So I was postponing my trip to Hishu for a year, hasta que mi supervisor dijo, vas o vas. Well, anyways, I went there. I told the teacher that I was going to be observed. And what happens when your coordinator tells you that you're going to be observed, Flor? Oh no, you have a school floor, so that doesn't apply to you. But when you worked before, what happens if your coordinator says, "I'm going to observe your classes"? What do?
I feel nervous first. First at all, I feel nervous. I don't know.
And then,
I prepare well my class.
Exactly. You will do an excellent class, no? A top of the class. Okay, so
And I told the students also. I tell the students, hey, the coordinator is coming, so please behave.
Yes, quieren un 10, así que pónganse las pilas. Yes, I know. So all of that my teacher did. So I went there, and yes, his class was very cool. Lots of pair work, lots of visual aids, lots of everything. And but guess what was the mistake? The class was about Las Vegas, a trip to Las Vegas or visiting Las Vegas, something like that. It was in the book. Poor kids haven't gone to Querétaro. They don't even know they don't even know the splash or los balnearios. What was the mistake in that class, teachers? Grace.
The topic is not according to the life of the students.
Very good. Who said that?
Erika.
Erika. Yes, Erika. Thank you. Then yes, Grace.
I was just saying that it's not appealing to them. They just don't care because it doesn't happen in their life.
They were very beautiful kids. I mean, they make an effort, and I believe that it was rehearsal or prepare ahead. But I'm sure that they didn't learn anything from that class. So the CLT says that for a meaningful and successful communication or conversation activity, it should be something that they know, that they are interested in, and that they are willing and motivated to participate. All right, so far so good. Now, example, years ago, I went to convention in England, and so I went to the hotel and the receptionist, and I said, "May I use the yellow pages, please?" ¿Qué creen que me dijo la receptionist? Huh, you're a teacher, right? Did I say something wrong? What was the problem? Sorry?
Your reservation?
No.
No, actually, it was the may I. May
I.
Ah, may I.
Nobody talks like that. I mean, it's a very formal and it's a very correct way to talk, but nobody talks like that. So you need to be very pragmatic, real life, in order to make it, appealing to your students. All right? Okay, so in other words, we make English as a real tool to communicate, considering what? The interaction, personal activity, and the clear relationship with society. The communicative approach helps to teach. Continue reading, Marta. Marta tiene un marcapa, sorry.
The communicative approach helps to teach how to use grammar, how to use vocabulary, etc. The pragmatic of the language or the proper use of it.
Very good. What is pragmatic? Can you tell me a definition of pragmatic, Vicky?
Like a very structured, very squared thing.
Okay.
I really don't know what it's pragmatic. Sorry.
Te lo inventaste, híjole. That's a
pragmatic comes from practicing, right?
Right, who said that?
Pragmatic comes from practicing.
Very good. Who said that? Flor?
Yeah.
Okay, so Flor, would you mind to elaborate a little bit more?
Pragmatic, it means practicing instead of theoretical things, I think.
Very good. Excellent. When students practice real life situations, then their English becomes their own. I give an example. You are to teach how much, how many? Everybody is familiar with it? How much, how many? Countable, uncountables, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so that is the grammar. That is the pure English per se. What would be the pragmatic situation and where a student uses it?
With a food, for example.
Who said that?
Erika.
Erika. Food, very good. Food in where?
In
the fridge.
In the fridge, in the supermarket, if they go to make the list for the grocery, I don't know.
Very good. That is pragmatic. Instead of being the Kool-Aid teacher, okay, how much, how many, countable, not countable, which is okay to present the grammar, but before that, giving them a pragmatic situation. Okay, guys, tomorrow we're having a party. And for a party, we need groceries, yes or no? Yes, teacher, okay, so let's make a list. Okay, we need soda, we need cookies, we need, okay, so do we count the cookies? Yes, teacher, okay. Do we count the soda? No, teacher, okay, so no count, no unaccountable. See the point? That's pragmatic. Is how to use the vocabulary, how to use grammar, when to use it, and where to use it. All right, so far so good? Cool.
Yes, can you repeat the last? How to use, when you use, and what else?
When to use, how to use, and where to use.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. Mili, veo tu carita. Si te sientes mal, mija, descansa. Ok, good. Mili tiene COVID, así que gracias por estar aquí.
I'm so sorry, Millie. Take care.
Thank you, Vicky.
All right, good. The last one, can you read it, Anaí?
The communicative approach helps us for specific functions and real-life situations.
So pretty much what we said. Let's say you're teaching past, simple past. What would be a pragmatic situation and where my students or your students will use it? Talking about
the weekend or
weekend.
Okay.
Vacation time.
Vacation time. And if you have teenagers, tell me about dead musicians, famous people. I don't know. Okay, so that's pragmatic. When to use it, how to use it, where to use it. Okay, very good. In the past, continue reading. Am I going too fast or too slow?
No,
it's okay?
That's okay.
Okay, good. Kareli, can you read this?
Yes. The aim is, in the past, the primary aim of language learning seemed to be the use of the grammatical system. The only practical task was translation, and that was usually translation of great literature, rather than letters to the bank manager, for instance.
Very good. Excellent. So, instead of translation, which is only one element, I'm not saying that it's wrong to translate. The students should be able to know something about translation, but that's only one element. And before, a couple years ago, it used to be that way. Translate, copy, paste, complete, blah, blah, blah. Now is something real to do. Continue reading, Rocio.
Today we see our primary aim as teaching the practical use of English for communication.
Practical use of English. Pragmatic, practical, very good. Yourself, continue reading, Rocio.
Learning English as a system of communication, language contains many systems, one of which is the system of grammar. Use of grammar is still important, but only as means to successful communication.
Very good. Grammar is only one thing. Good, but not focus on that, you know, on the rest of the, for example, how long have you been here and how long are you here for? Which one is correct and which one is incorrect?
The second, how long are you here for?
Okay, so Kareli said the second one. Rocio, what do you say?
What I heard, I think it's the first one.
The first one.
The first one is incorrect. Or correct?
Correct.
Correct, okay.
Could you repeat it, please?
How long have you been here? Or how long have you, no, excuse me. How long have you been here and how long are you here for? Which one is incorrect and which one is correct?
I think the first one is the correct one.
Okay. So you mean that how long are you...
The second one.
They are asking different things.
Very good. So they're different. Okay, we're getting there. Which one is, let me paraphrase the question. Which one is grammatically incorrect?
The second one.
The second one.
No.
Why, Vicky?
Because it's, like you said, it's a pragmatic sentence, a question.
Okay, let me paraphrase the question, Vicky. Why do you say it's grammatically incorrect?
How long are you here for? It's the structure, it's not okay. Rosario is going to hit me. Please, Rosario, help me.
No, because you cannot end as a question with a preposition or.
You cannot finish a sentence with a preposition. That's a grammar rule. However,
I want to say that I would like to say that both are correct. One is for the past and the other one is for the future.
Very good. Thank you. Let me tell you this. Both are correct, grammatically incorrect. You cannot finish a sentence with a preposition, not a verb, an adverb. Okay? But both are colloquially acceptable. So, both are, in other words, both are practical. Both are pragmatic. So, when a student of Grace says, teacher, how long are you here for in the class? Grace has two options. Shut up, stupid. You cannot end a preposition or a sentence with a preposition, or explaining and answering correctly, because at the end of the day, the student used a perfectly colloquially acceptable sentence.
As a native speaker, speak, you know.
Very good. Excellent. We do all the time in Spanish, ¿eh? O sea, en español es igual, voy para la casa. O you know, there are many, I don't know, I can think of it, but when in Spanish we do the same thing. We have the grammar and we have the colloquial way of speaking. Both are acceptable. Okay. Since your aim is to communicate, if a person uses a colloquial expression, you as a teacher explain that. It's informal, it's colloquial, but it's acceptable. The correct form or the correct form is, okay? All right. So bottom line, in the communicative approach, no sentences, but yes functions. Right? Ejemplo, sentences, I am a teacher, I'm giving a lecture, we had a coffee break, etc. But functions is,
Yay!
Sorry?
Yay, the coffee break.
Ah, yes.
Just kidding, I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, it's 11:10. Yeah, okay. You want a coffee pee break?
We can finish this slide.
Okay. Oh, I have to. Okay. I stopped sharing. Okay, pee break, and then we go back. It's 11:10, 11:25.
Okay.
Yes, everybody agrees.
Yeah.
Not if you agree. Cool. So 11:25, we come back for the after the pee break.
Okay, thank
I
you.
leave the session open, so I'll see you here.
querría pasar el rato con nosotros. Somos divertidos. Sí, pero yo soy más divertido.
Ready, guys?
I'm ready.
Perfect. Andrea, I really like your picture.
Thank you, thank you.
Pretty cool, pretty cool. All righty. Alondra, Vicky, Grace, Rosario, Rosario, thank you. Nada más. Okay, perfect. And Flor, thank you. Okay, so we said that sentences in the communicative approach, no sentences. I am, for example, I am teacher, I'm giving a lecture. But functions, for example, socializing. Socializing, what does it mean? That socialize, when you have a function, for example, socializing, you would use this type of sentences. No, for example, Lisette is in the antro. She's dancing, drinking, and then she meets this handsome gringo, ya sabes, 2 metros, ojos azul, bonito. And then you say, okay, so you introduce yourself, Lisette. So, paréntesis, we're in the classroom. I have in the, well, en este caso Zoom, I have the phrases to socialize. Hi, my name is blah, 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 blah. So when you give them the environment, then Lisette pictures herself with a gringo, 2 metros, ojo bonito, así bonito, ojo azul. Then you say, how would you socialize, Lisette?
Good morning, everyone. I say him, hello, how are you?
Hasta te pones nerviosa. Vete el poder de la mente, ¿eh? Fíjate.
I imagine. Okay. Can you dance with me this time?
All
The
right,
principal, no? Direct.
Very direct, very good. Okay. See what I'm doing? She's motivated to talk, so she makes an effort. It does. That happens exactly the same with your actual students. You give them motivation, your student will find something to make an effort. Okay. So the next one, getting and receiving information, expressing emotions, etc. For example, if you have, for example, expressing emotions, you would do that in a coffee break. For example, you're Grace, you have a friend that you haven't seen a long time, so you have a coffee together. You're in a cafe. So how are you feeling?
So excited.
Okay. And what questions will you ask your friend?
How have you been? What's new in your life? Do you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend?
All right.
What are your plans for the future? That kind of things.
All right, but see her face, Grace's face. She's excited and smiling because she's been given a reason to be excited. Right? So that's the point and the core of the communicative teaching. All right. So far, so good? Oh, sorry. So what are the communicative activities? Remember that these are also called conversation tasks, talking activities, and whatever. No, we're going to call it communicative activities. All right. So can you read this? Let's see. Anaí.
Activities in classroom where the purpose is to produce language previously learned.
and let me make an emphasis on this one. Activities where the aim or the goal is to produce language, yes or no? The aim is the students talk, to converse, yes or no? Yes, okay, so, but language, and let me underline this, and this is very, very important. Underline, and I mean, talk about language previously learned. This is very, very important. And maybe Ivan says, duh, teacher, was obviously, well, you know, teachers, it's very sad and for me, very disturbing listening to teachers giving instructions, assuming the students know. Ya sabes, clásico. Kool-Aid teacher walks into the classroom. Today is present continuous. Do you know what present continuous is? Dude, they're students. They don't know. Or, okay, present continuous. Pair work. Juanito and Juanita Perez talk about the activities today and ing. Y los pobres Juanito y Juanita Pérez lost in the space. Y por eso, teachers, por eso, y aquí me van a dar la razón, cada quien haga su autoexamen, por eso en your classroom es Miss. ¿Y ahora qué digo? Miss, ¿cómo es? Teacher, ¿ahora qué va aquí? If you had those type of questions, that's your fault. That's because you have assumed that teachers, I mean, the students know. So if you are going to ask Juanito and Juanita Perez to give a conversation, to conduct a conversation task, they must know whatever you are asking. So then, therefore, normally the conversation activities or the communicative activities go after you have presented, let's say, vocabulary, you have presented the grammar application, you have presented, wherever you have presented something, then you ask them to talk about it, not before. Okay? Agree? If you agree, nod. Cool. All right. And then there are 6 characteristics of a conversation task. We're going to describe each one of them. Number 1, a desire to communicate. Can you read this, Chema?
In a communicative activity, there must be a reason to communicate. When someone asks a question, the person must wish to get some information or some other form of result.
Very good. There must be a reason. There must be a reason to communicate. Do you agree with this? Cuando Rocío le dice a su novio, es que no me hablas, es que no me pelas. What happens? Well, there's no reason, right? So you need to watch out about that. Read this, Rosario, this point.
If the students do not want to be involved in communication, then that communication will probably not be effective.
Do you agree with that, Rocio? Why do you agree with that, Rocio? Why is this true for you?
Probably because they are not open to speak. And if you are making a big effort, they are going to be closed and they don't listen. They don't want to get involved into the class. You have to convince them and probably give them confidence into themselves so they can probably make a small talk
Very good. If you force them, they will normally respond. They will normally actually do it. But what would happen if you force them, Grace?
Well, they will say it, but they won't put effort on that.
And they're going to forget it. Ah, ya que se termine esto. Y ya sabes, el clásico. Miss, otra vez, bueno, dime qué va aquí ya. So don't force them. Motivate them to talk. If a person is motivated to talk, then communication will be better. How can we involve our students in a communicative activity, Flor?
How can we involve
our
students?
Yes.
I remember when I was studying English in Harmon Hall many years ago. They always started with a question, a very appealing question. What would you do if you were blah, 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 or what would you do if you were in this situation? So something that can be interested to them.
Very good. That is called eliciting. Actually, I was a training teacher in Harmon Hall. I worked for Harmon Hall like 20 years ago. Yes, it was a very good system. Después lo vendieron, hicieron franquicias y vale todo gorro. That's a whole different story. So, yes, you ask a question, you elicit the question to receive their interests. In other words, relevant topics to them. Right? If your program says talk about hockey, nobody likes it. Well, then change it to soccer. It's the same thing. Just translate it. Just transform it into a topic that is relevant to them. Okay. So motivating topics. Number 2, a communicative purpose. Can you read this, Giovanni?
They should be using language in some way to achieve an objective, and this objective or purpose should be the most important part of the communication.
Very good. In other words, relevant topics first. Let's say soccer. And then, okay, so tell your friend or tell your partner who is your favorite soccer player. Describe your favorite soccer player. What is the objective in that instruction, Vicky?
Involve the other students.
Okay, and the instruction clearly says describe a person, right? So maybe the instruction, the topic is about, I don't know, adjectives. It's about, sports, but you give them a specific objective. Describe your favorite soccer player.
I misunderstand the question. I'm so sorry.
I know you're watching porn, but that's okay.
No. I'm paying attention. I misunderstand the question. Just that.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I watched the movie too, but you watch it twice, no problem. No, just kidding. Okay, so if the students continue reading, Grace.
If the students do have a purpose of this kind, then their attention should be centered in the content of what is being said, not the language form is being used.
Exactly. Very important. You are going to be focused on the oral production. Let me paraphrase again. Focus on the oral production. If he or she makes a mistake, it's not the time to correct. You all are only focused on them to, como decimos los mexicanos, soltar la lengua.
Can I make a comment about it?
Yes, of course, Rosario.
Rocío, Um, I just told you before, in this kind of exercises, as a teachers, when we make a comment to the students, when they commit an error, most of the times if they are beginners, they don't, and you make the error in front of the class, they are not gonna talk later. They are going to be like afraid of talking. So we have to make it probably in general group, but without mentioning the names. For example, while you were talking, I saw some mistakes and you write them on the blackboard. Then they have to check the error now, but not mention in front of the class because they are going to be afraid of talking, I think.
Very good. You may do that. And bottom line, don't interrupt them. If you interrupt them, they go blank. If you're gonna give feedback, do it afterwards. So when your topic is traveling, what could be a purpose? For example, booking. What else? Let's say your topic is traveling. What could be a purpose? Reserve a hotel. Make a hotel reservation. That's a purpose. Can you think in another?
Ask for directions.
Ask for directions. Very good. What else?
Search a tour.
Sorry?
Search a tour.
Search a tour. Very good. Where do I buy the booze? Just kidding. And so forth, right? So all of those are purposes, specific purposes. All right, very good. Focus on the language content. What does it mean? Can you read this, Ivan?
In real life, we do not ask about our friends' family in order to practice have, has forms.
Do you agree with that, Ivan?
Yes.
Of course. You don't ask, Rosario, how's your daughter? Is she okay? I don't ask that in order to listen to Rosario explaining verbs and past, explaining adjectives. We don't do that. We ask because we want to know. Yes or no? Well, the conversation activity should be the same thing. Focus on the content instead of the language. Let me explain it a little bit better. Can you read this, Cindy? Millie.
We ask the question because we are interested in the information. That is to say, we are interested in the language content and not in the language forms.
Okay, very good. Having a purpose, then oral production comes naturally. Let me give an example. Your grammar form is simple past. What could be your content, your language content? I said famous people. Can you think in another content and another function?
Last vacation.
Last
Last
vacation.
year.
Again.
Last weekend.
Year.
Last weekend. We can talk.
2020.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Grace, for ruining the class. Oh, my God. Que pase la tóxica, Dios. Okay, very good. Very good. Excellent. See, all the language content just because of grammar, excuse me, simple past.
Photos of your family.
Sorry?
Photo album of your family.
Very good. This is my grandmother. This is my grandfather. Blah, blah. Very good. Excellent.
Habits that you used to have.
Habit that you used to have. Ah, very interesting, Alondra. I used to. Well, I wouldn't use that, Alondra. It's kind of risky because then it's used to. It's a whole different topic. This is simple past. Simple past, okay? So the point is that don't be like the traditionalist or slice the Kool-Aid teacher that just walk into the classroom and focus on the simple past per se. But you give them a pragmatic content. to talk about. Okay? A variety of language use. Read this, please. Marta. Marta, tiene una pasos.
In normal communication, we do not repeatedly use the same language forms. In fact, we try to avoid repetition. Example, teacher, is it correct? I am doing great. For how are you?
Very good. We don't repeat the same in normal life, right? We don't repeat the same word, the same sentences. So don't do that in the classroom. In other words, actually the books nowadays has the student's book. Normally, in each unit has a box that it says cultural features. I don't know if you have seen those cultural features. And then you have, instead of saying fine and you, I'm great, I'm super, I don't know. So use a variety of vocabulary, because remember, your purpose is that they communicate in real life. Not like me that I ask for the yellow pages with an AI. Nobody talks like that. Okay? And languages are different than exact sciences. Do you agree with this? Don't be a square. That's why we go back to Ivan experiences about teaching engineers. Engineers are a square. They want to know the formulas. Languages are not like that. Yes, you have a grammar rule. How many exceptions for the grammar rule? How many exceptions in the grammar? For example, the simple, the past, simple past verb, the irregular verbs. How many irregular verbs? 150? Well, no. Each one of those is an exception for the rule. So don't be a square. Use a variety of language in your conversation tasks. Okay, very good. Even in many classrooms, continue reading, Grace.
In many classroom activities, we often try to create situations in which students will repeatedly use a limited number of language patterns. This is also artificial. Please don't do that.
Grace, how are you?
I'm good.
Ay, sí la agarraste, very good. Ya me esperaba Grace, fine, and you? Like the typical, right? Very good, excellent. So don't do that, no repeat. Use a variety of languages, okay. No teacher intervention. Read this, Cindy.
When you are buying a ticket for the Lion King at the theater, your teacher is not usually beside you to help or correct your English.
Very good. It's buying, no buying, buying. The ticket for there is no English teacher next to you to correct you, right? So teacher intervention in classroom, communicative activities as to artificiality. By intervene, continue reading, Vicky.
By intervening, we mean telling the students that they are making mistakes, insisting on accuracy and asking for repetitions, etc.
So again, if you have a conversation task, don't intervene. They go blank. First of all, they're going to call you names in their mind, and then they go blank. So don't do that. Don't intervene. This undermines the communicative purpose. What is the communicative purpose of a conversation task, Ivan?
Purpose?
Yeah, what is the purpose of pair work that they talk? What do you think is the purpose of a conversation activity?
To speak with another person, make a conversation.
Very good, simple like that. Casi even, oh, teacher, no, conversation activity. Of course, that is your purpose, that these two people talk. If you intervene, they go blank. Don't do that.
Get confidence, no? It's another purpose.
So if you, exactly, if you see there is a need for feedback, like Rocio said, do it at the end. Look at the picture, it's a real picture. Okay, they're talking, and who's the teacher in the picture, Lisette? What is the teacher doing, Lisette, in the picture?
Oh, yes. The teacher, can I repeat the question, please?
Yeah, what is the teacher doing in the picture?
Learning your students about
My students?
science.
My students?
Or I don't know, maybe students.
I think
Maybe,
oh, sorry for
yes.
that. Okay, I think the teacher is the person who is seeing.
This is a
standing behind the girl, the woman.
She's monitoring. She's monitoring.
She's just observing the students.
Very good. Do you see her talking?
No.
No. She's also observing. Esto se llama lo van a ver en el TKT como monitor. She's monitoring the class. To monitor the class. When you have in a conversation task, you monitor. You don't talk, you don't intervene, you just observe or monitor the class. Ya saben, los británicos y sus lenguajes raros. They just monitor the class. Very good, excellent. And finally, no control or simplification of the material. In the classroom, Giovanni, can you read this, please?
In the classroom, we often use graded or simplified materials or prompts for communicative activities.
Okay, so in the classroom, it doesn't matter if it's a Zoom or it's a physical classroom, right? We use props and materials such as visual aids, such as images, such as even videos, whatever, okay? So these will not be available in the real world. So, Rocio, continue. Often students work.
Often students work with material which force them to use certain language or at least restrict students' choice of what to say and how to say it. Don't do this.
In other words, if you have a flashcard for the conversation task, make sure that has no letters. Make sure that has no words. What happens if it has words, Flor?
Do you mean me?
Yes, Flor.
Well, you can, without words, you can make the students speak easily. I was thinking about Will, for example, to teach Will, we can use a fortune teller. It's made of paper and you can color it, your students color it, and you put just numbers. And they play a lot of games with this paper. It's a fortune teller. You can see it in YouTube how to make it.
I use this kind of flashcards.
Oh, sorry, who said that? Oh,
It's
yes.
a flashcard, and I put the word at the other side. So if I'm talking about future, past, simple present, they just observe the image, and they have to, if they don't know the action, they can help just by the word, but they have to to think about all the sentence, about the whole conversation, depending on the
task.
It depends on the exercise, of course,
Exactly.
but it's just like a little help to them. But you don't say all the answer, just a little help.
Okay, yeah,
I
actually,
think.
actually, we're going to talk about it later in a different class about visual aids. What you say, show the card again, Rocio, but with the words, with the word. So the word walk, if you're introduced in the vocabulary, that is called, that is the image. That's for the conversation class. You don't show the word. Now turn around. So that is called cueing. That is a cue word or a keyword, and that is for giving hints or cueing your students. So that's a whole different story. In a conversation task, no words. And I call on Flor because she used to study in Harmon Hall when it was Harmon Hall. Harmon Hall it was the same. Remember, lots of visual aids, no words. And that was good for you to produce languages. Vicky.
Well, I think if you put in this case, the flash cards with words, you're giving the answer. You are not helping them to think to have a conversation or to order a sentence or whatever. You're giving the answer.
Yes.
Sometimes, sometimes I make some collages. I don't know. I put a big paper with a lot of pictures, just pictures, a lot of people or food or places without words. Yes, that's why I said before, depends on the case. But I think images are more important than words. I agree with Rosario.
Of course. In other words, more colorful background and attractive image without words is perfect for conversation classes. Something like that. Oh, at least read the last one. Less control material, the better. For example, this is a collage. You can, first of all, you can use this image in thousands of different topics to start with. Secondly, you present that, give the instruction, for example, Juanito and Juanita Perez, if you see this girl, let me see. If you see this girl, she went with her family to the woods. Talk about it, talk about the activities that they're doing, and discuss with your partner. So they're going to make an effort and watch the image and do whatever they think they're going to be doing. Okay, so remember, the less control material, the better. Now, let me ask you something, Grace. Why is it important to have images?
Because it's easier for our brains to remember a word if we can have a picture to relacionarlo.
To relate it?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's easier for them to remember the word, and when they want ideas to speak, then see the picture, and then, okay, I will choose this one, and then talk based on that.
Good. Very good, excellent. Now, Andrea, how would you use pictures in Zoom?
In Zoom?
Yes. Remember that the pandemia, it's it's going to be for a long time.
Well, I could present them.
Very good. Excellent. Saying Google images of perritos corriendo. Download it and you can share a screen. I just wanted to make sure that everybody understand that using images is the same in physical classroom than Zoom. Actually, it's actually easier in Zoom. Very good. Let's, we're going to prepare a conversation or communicative task, okay? It's going to be in pair. Oh, I'm going to give you the description. This is intermediate, basic level. Vámonos a lo más difícil. Basic level. There are teenagers, and the topic is present continuous vacations. Vacations, okay? Number one, make sure to give clear instructions. Pair work, and watch the time for the activity. Okay? All right, very good, excellent. All right. So, basic level, intermediate, pair work, present continuous, and vacations. All right? And easy, the task is easy? Okay, very good. I'm going to divide, you will have 6 minutes to prepare the conversation task, okay? In pairs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Good. Vamos a ver. Ivan and Grace. Luego, Andrea and Giovanni. Okay. Then Erika and Marta. Then Kareli and Rocío. Ahí. Then Alondra and Anaí. Anaí are still here? Okay. Chema and Vicky. Lisette and Flor. Lisette and Flor. Patty and Cindy and Millie, the three of you, okay? Let me assign it. Ivan, Grace, again. Andrea, Giovanni, Erika, Marta, Carelli, Rocío, Alondra, Anaí, Chema, Vicky, Lisette, Flor, the girls. Okay, you just need to accept the invitation to go into the mini sala.